Okay, so this is a big topic, and it's one that, we sort of named as being probably a good thing to bring to this discussion. It's actually the title of my third book, The Needs of Childhood and the Tasks of Adulthood. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you're touching on exactly that. The tasks of adulthood have to do with whether or not, or to what degree, our needs were met. Okay, mm-hmm. So while I came up with 7 needs, I don't claim to say this is a universal version, okay? If I asked each one of us, well, what do you think your needs were? Maybe you would come up with different ones, or the things that may have different words. And just to be really clear, the needs I'm talking about are not survival needs, air, water, What I'm talking about is the needs that, when are met, bring us to the place where we're at the self-acceptance, the okayness, which then means we can live into the potential of our whole self, because we're not swimming in the pool of our unmet needs, you see? It's the point where we say, I'm not worried, for example, of being unsafe unduly, So, let me just name them, and then we can pick one or two or whatever, and we can go further. So the first one is safety. Okay? A child who grows up in an unsafe environment develops coping strategies that are very different than a person who grows up in a safe environment. Okay? Really quickly, they become more vigilant, externally focused. Where is the danger? Who is the danger? What is going to happen to me? There's an element of fear that's a chronic or a constant element in their life. There's also what we could call the neglect or the abandonment of that inner child, who would feel perfectly safe to be doing what they do, okay, if they weren't externally focused. So the shift goes from an internal comfort to an external alarm system, okay? Now, over time, that has a pretty big effect on people. Mm-hmm. And we can talk more deeply about what is safety, emotional safety, and can you be safe and unsafe at the same time? And, it's not as simple as, and I also clarify, I say safe enough, because life isn't safe. Change itself means there's risk and there's change and there's things, okay? So, number 1 is safety, number 2 is guidance, another big topic. And for me, the same applies to creativity as to that there's structure and there's freedom, okay? And the responsibility of adults for children is to create the right amount of structure so that the freedom is channeled into development, you see? We talked about it last time. Not enough structure means there's not a channel, and it can be overwhelming for a person to have all of the choices that they're not guided by, you see. Too much structure can be stifling, and a person can lose the sense of self in terms of the freedom to have their own life, okay? The third one is the one we've talked about a lot already. It's acceptance, okay? And acceptance is kind of an umbrella term that usually we gain when first we've been accepted by others, okay? And often that's through a sequence of things like approval, validation, belonging, and feeling a connection to the okayness of who we are, okay? The other thing that's important is that there's an opposite side of the spectrum, because acceptance is such an important thing for our well-being. The fear of rejection can be one of the greatest influences. And there's many people who don't have a sense of self where their self-worth is intact. And the fear of rejection, invalidation, disapproval being an outsider, okay, is as much of an influence as the aspiration for acceptance. So number 4 is nurturance. And probably the best metaphor I can think of is a garden. Okay, a garden needs certain conditions, sun and water and soil and protection from the weeds or whatever. And nurturance is the degree to which that kind of care and attention is given to a child or a person so that they can grow in the way that's beneficial for their. So the next one is called to be seen, and it's to be seen through our essence. Okay, our essence is the aspect of who we are that's behind the behavior. Okay, so when we see a 5-year-old and a 5-year-old is being naughty or doing something, we don't associate them with what they're doing because we say, well, they're 5 years old. We see that there's a being that's learning how to navigate life. But unfortunately, over time, that can get lost, and we can start to over-identify with behavior and performance and image, how it appears. And we can lose sight that underneath each of us is a spirit, an essence. I even think of it as a life force that wants to live the life that represents each of us. So being seen, I think the term namaste captures that idea. I see the divine in you, okay? It's seeing through this surface level where all our confusions play out, okay? Or our need for approval or whatever it is, okay? And to be seen through to our essence, I think, is a need. Number 6 is autonomy, okay? Now, again, we talked about how this might be culturally disparate depending on the culture we come from. But essentially it's this. When we're born, we're not ready. If we're told, okay, good luck, have a good time, we're not ready. Okay, and we're not ready when we're 3, and we're not ready when we're 5, and we're not ready when we're 10, and we're not ready when we're 15. Okay, we're getting ready. And what are we getting ready for? We're getting ready for the life that is our responsibility and freedom to live. So autonomy means each one of us is unique. Each one of us owns the life that's ours. And that to be autonomous is to take that freedom and live it. Okay? We are the decision maker, as messy and as fraught with mistakes as it might be, of the person we are. Okay? And it doesn't mean we don't belong to community or that we're not part of humanity. It means we each have our own version of that, you see. The last one, I think, is a need that has to do with how we discover life, and it's through play. Okay, guidance can mean where the adult says it's time to learn math now, it's time to learn how to read. There are specific things that are important for you. Okay, play is the unguided part of how we discover life that's ours, and it comes through expression, it comes through playful experimentation, being open to the here and now. And children, when they're allowed to play, they don't have any trouble with that, okay? And whether it's the way they move or the way they imagine things, and if it's not fraught with judgment or labels of what's good or not good, then that play has a disinhibited quality to it, a freedom. And when a person continues to stay disinhibited and playful all the way in their life, then there's a lot of room for life to become a creative act. So those are Those are the 7 what I call needs. And yes, then we can start to look back and go, oh, okay, to what degree, in who and what ways were those needs met in me? And to what degree and in what ways, as an adult, am I still trying to meet those needs? And when we understand what that is, we get a lot more intentional about how that goes. You know, what we can do, how they're interrelated. You see, for me, for example, play, and here we are in a creative play residency, is a way to overcome the fears that I might have about whether I'm okay or not, or whether I'm, and to say, it doesn't matter, the expression of myself is non-judgmental. So there's all these ways in which the interrelatedness of our needs become the way that we can bear responsibility for.
It reflects a lot on the way I raised my child. And I remember when he was 3 or 4, one of the most powerful things I had in him in this event is a friend, because, well, at 3 or 4, Leo was very difficult. Like, he would cry all the time and yell and scream out very, very loud. And I was so concerned about this, and I guess to conform, I wanted to stimulate him, or we were getting into fights and everything. And then there was one of my best friends, he said, a child, the only things he needs is love. And once I understood that, it's like, what is the most important thing for me? Like, my child to feel loved, or the perception of the others, but my child is calm and everything. So then once you balance and you question that, then I say, okay, fuck the activities and everything. Yes. As long as he feels loved, it's okay. Then recently I had this conversation with Leo, so I put him into bed, and like every night I say good night and everything, and I say, I love you the way you are. And he was so surprised, and he said, wow, it's the first time you say that to me. And I realized that, we don't express, and because we're not used to it, or we're not, and I saw the effect on him, like he felt so, like peaceful and reassured. And it reminds me the needs of, which one was it again? Like being loved for just the way you are.
Being validated for your
essence.
The acceptance, of your essence. It's not judged by good or bad behavior. It's something.
Definitely.
Wow, so beautiful.
It is beautiful, and I saw really the changes in our relationship, especially coming into 12, the teenagers and everything. So we could have a lot of fights, but then realizing, not because I love him, not because he's doing the right thing, but just the way he is, and no matter, the behavior is, I felt so much relief in our relationship and on him, and it was really beautiful. Yeah. And sorry, there's just the last one. One of my KPI that indicates if Leo is good is whenever, he has spare time and he just sings. So for me, it means that if he sings, then I believe that he always needs are fulfilled, because he doesn't have to overthink about this, or feeling not bad. So whenever I hear him sing, I say, okay, everything's fine. So then I can, take care of myself or do other stuff, or But I think it's once you understand that every human has different needs and how we can fulfill, and then learn to this human how to fulfill by themselves, and not expecting from the outside to fulfill them. I believe this is when you are in peace.